You are not paying for fuel, you are paying for relief from a localized state of mild panic. Picture this, it's a rainy Tuesday night on the M4. Rain is slamming against your windshield, your back hurts. Your kids are screaming in the back seat, and that little yellow fuel light on your dashboard just flickered on. Panic sets in, a quiet, creeping panic. You see the bright, glowing sign of a service station rising out of the pitch-black highway like a haven of absolute safety. You pull off the road, put the car in park, and take a deep breath. In that single, quiet moment, you think you just made a logical decision to stop for gas, but you didn't. You just walked right into a brilliantly designed psychological trap. A trap so subtle, so engineered, that millions of tired drivers fall into it every single day without ever realizing it. Because here is the shocking financial reality. British service stations do not care about your car's fuel tank. They care about your brain. Most people believe these giant roadside complexes make their fortunes by selling petrol. It feels logical, right? Hundreds of cars filling up every hour, millions of gallons moving through the pumps. What if I told you that fuel is virtually a non-profit decoy? If a service station sold fuel at raw cost, or even at a minor loss, they would still be one of the most wildly profitable businesses in the entire country. So where is the real cash coming from? What hidden behavioral levers are they pulling while you're standing there in a daze? And why do you happily hand over twice the normal price for a sandwich, without batting an eye, to understand how this invisible money machine actually extracts billions? We have to step inside the mind of a driver operating under severe decision fatigue. When you've been driving at 70 miles per hour for 3 hours straight, your brain is physically exhausted. Your focus is drained. Your willpower is practically gone, and your brain is desperately craving dopamine and comfort. The operators of British service stations know this exact psychological state down to a science. The second your feet hit the asphalt on that forecourt, every single step you take is scripted. You walk through the automatic sliding doors, looking for one thing: the restroom. Have you ever noticed that the toilets are never located near the entrance? They are placed at the absolute back of the entire complex. That isn't a plumbing mistake, that is spatial exploitation to get to that basic human necessity. You are forced to walk through a carefully mapped obstacle course of high-margin temptations. You pass the warm, buttery aroma of freshly baked pastries being piped directly through ventilation systems. You walk past bright, colorful displays of candy placed at eye level. You navigate past high-end coffee machines humming with rich, inviting smells. By the time you actually reach the restroom, your exhausted brain has already absorbed dozens of visual and sensory cues, and on the walk back, you're defenseless. You grab a 4 pounds, 50 pounds coffee that costs them 15 pence to brew. You pick up a 6-pound sandwich, and maybe a 3 pounds bag of chips. You just spent 13 pounds on snacks in less than 4 minutes, and here's the kicker. You feel relieved doing it. You see, on the high street, if a corner shop tries to charge you 4 pounds 50 for a basic coffee, you walk away. You feel offended. You call it a ripoff. So why does that exact same price tag feel totally acceptable on the M1 highway? Because of a psychological concept known as price inelasticity through isolation. When you are on the motorway, you are in a spatial vacuum. You cannot quickly turn off to go to a local supermarket. You can't compare prices. The service station operator isn't competing with the shop down the road. Because there is no shop down the road, they hold a temporary, localized monopoly over your immediate needs. They aren't selling you food. They are selling you a quick escape from exhaustion, and when you are tired, convenience always beats logic. But psychological tricks on individual drivers are only the surface of this economic story. Because behind these retail traps lies a massive business transformation, a masterstroke of corporate strategy that turned humble gas stops into private equity goldmines. Let's look at a real-world case study that changed this industry forever: the rise of the EG Group, founded by two brothers from Lancashire, Mohsen and Zubair Isa, back in the day. Service stations offered generic, unbranded, miserable hot food. The profit margins were okay, but footfall conversion was lukewarm. The Isa brothers realized a fundamental truth that the rest of the market was missing. People don't trust generic roadside food. But they deeply trust established brands. They pioneered a total revolution. By bringing high street giants directly onto the forecourt, they slashed the size of the boring convenience store and replaced it with brand-name powerhouses: Greg's, Starbucks, Subway, KFC, Marks and Spencer. Suddenly, a driver wasn't pulling over into a sketchy, dimly lit rest stop. They were pulling into a mini high-street shopping center. The psychological shift was massive. Footfall conversion exploded. Drivers who originally pulled in only for a 2-minute fuel stop were now sitting down for a 20-minute brand-name meal. And the unit economics behind this model are absolutely mind-blowing. While fuel carries an agonizingly low margin of around 2% to 3% after taxes and delivery, fresh food and fast food partnerships carry gross margins between 60% and 80%. Let that sink in. Selling one single cup of branded coffee yields more net profit than filling up the entire gas tank of a mid-sized sedan. The fuel pump is merely the shiny hook designed to pull your car off the highway. The building behind it is the true extraction engine. Yet, this brings us to an incredible paradox, a massive economic threat that was supposed to completely destroy this entire industry. The electric vehicle revolution. A few years ago, financial analysts were predicting the death of the Motorway service station. Their logic seemed unassailable. As drivers switch to electric cars, they will charge at home overnight. No more petrol pumps, no more fuel stops. The entire roadside retail ecosystem will collapse into irrelevance. Wall Street and traditional analysts got it completely wrong. In fact, electric vehicles are making service stations vastly more profitable than petrol cars ever could. How is that even possible? It all comes down to one single, powerful business metric: dwell time when a gasoline car fills up. The driver is on the forecourt for 3 to 5 minutes tops. They are in a rush, they want to get back on the road. Dwell time is extremely short when an electric vehicle plugs into a rapid charger on a highway. Even the fastest chargers take 20, 30, sometimes 40 minutes to give a full charge. Now, think about customer behavior during those 30 minutes. What is that driver going to do? Stand outside in the cold wind watching a battery percentage meter tick up? Of course not. They walk inside, they sit down, they open a laptop, they order a full meal, they buy a premium drink. They browse the retail aisles out of pure boredom. Their spend per head doesn't just increase slightly, it triples, it quadruples, by shifting the customer from a 3-minute fuel stop to a 30-minute charging lounge. The service station transforms a low-value visitor into a high-value consumer, and it gets even better for the operators. These companies are transforming into high-margin energy brokers. Securing massive electrical grid connections along remote motorway corridors is insanely complex and expensive. It takes years of legal battles and infrastructure development. The service stations that already own these massive grid connections hold a total bottleneck over the future of transportation. They buy electricity wholesale at commercial rates and sell it to stranded EV drivers at high retail rates. They aren't losing their business model, they are upgrading their profit margins. This incredible resilience is precisely why the world's biggest private equity firms and infrastructure funds are fighting tooth and nail to buy up service station networks. They realize that roadside services are completely immune to the forces that are currently killing traditional high-street retail. E-commerce can kill shopping malls. Amazon can destroy physical clothing stores. But e-commerce cannot deliver a hot meal to a driver stuck on the highway. Amazon cannot sell you a restroom break when you're 50 miles away from home. This business model is anchored to the absolute physical realities of human biology and geographical distance. Traffic volume on major arteries acts like a continuous, unstoppable river of revenue. In good economic times, people travel for vacations and shopping. In bad economic times, commercial trucks still move food, medicine, and goods across the country every single night. It is an asset class that behaves less like a risk-heavy business and more like a private tax on societal movement. So, the next time you are driving late at night, feeling exhausted, and you see those bright fluorescent lights inviting you off the dark highway, take a second to admire the sheer brilliance of what you are stepping into. You aren't just pulling over to rest, you are stepping inside one of the most perfectly engineered, psychologically dialed, and financially invincible business machines ever created.